Okay, greetings one and all. I'm Floyd and we're here in beautiful Koh Kud in Thailand. Okay, welcome to our brand spanking new, well not so new, a few months old aquaponics system. This is the entrance. I'll get off the road before a buggy comes and runs me over. We have this welcoming sign for guests to come and have a bit of an explanation as to what they're looking at. We're fortunate enough to have a laser writer here that can engrave laserite into wood, so there's that. And here's the entrance. So there's our 3 grow beds. 1, 2, 3. They're about 99% finished, just a few little details still remaining. They're full of tomatoes at the moment, which are just growing incredibly well. These tomatoes are probably, from seed to here, it would be about 6 to 8 weeks, I would imagine. There's 2 different varieties. One is this kind of tall, stringy variety, which is making these, let's get a shot of them here, these elliptical oval shaped fruit in quite an abundance. There's more up here. Everywhere I look there's tomatoes popping up at the moment actually. And then we have a more bushy form, which has more, let's focus, which has more round tomatoes, which I'll get a shot of when I can find some nice ones. There's one. Oh, my focus is not that good. There we go. Okay, more tomatoes. 1, 2. Okay, I'll get into the shade here, it's very hot. So, hi. The finishing details is just finishing the bamboo covering of this pipework so that we don't see any pipework. I've got to close this back up. I haven't done it yet, so I can still keep track of what's happening with this particular grow bed. Each grow bed has a sump underneath it, just like this. And this particular grow bed, the main grow bed, is the first one that we did, and it receives the water by gravity from the fish tank, which I'll show you in a moment. The client requested that the fish tank be hidden in this particular case, which it is. I'll show you soon. So the water is coming in underground via this blue pipe, which runs into the fish tank behind there. So, and the return line is there as well. Comes in. And then our pump, which is just under there, that yellow pipe coming out, that's the pump. It comes out, splits to the 3 different grow beds. Up to this grow bed here, for example, and then back to the fish. So the idea is that guests or people can come in here, they can enter, they can wander around, be surrounded by all this lush growth, and then head over this bridge and into the therapeutic herb permaculture garden, which we've just created as well, which contains bananas, papayas, mangoes, mangosteens, durians, galangal, ginger, pineapple, chilies, watermelons, pumpkins, pineapples, more and more that I can't remember. Everything in there is edible or therapeutic. So they can either enter from this side and wander through over the bridge and into the aquaponics garden, or from the aquaponics and through to the herb garden. We've got our first ripening tomatoes coming on here, which look great. They're the oval sort of variety, not the more round one, which is just here next to it. I'm sure you can see the difference. This is a lot rounder. This is a lot longer. And then this big monster, this is one of the first things we planted when it comes into focus, is, I believe, once again when it comes into focus, apologies, can't mind camera, I believe it's a loofah, which ideally would like to grow up and outwards on a broad trellis coming out and over, but we will do that next time. Maybe even put a trellis between two or more of the beds. Have an archway that people can sort of walk through between the beds. Here's one of the fruit. Get a look at the size of this, and there's plenty of these coming on at the moment. Here's my hand, and there's the fruit. I mean, he's a big fella. There's more up through there. I'm not sure if you can see. There's one through. Oh, it had focus for a second. There it is. Oh, it's gone. And our chilies. Get a load of these chilies. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go around the front. How are they for chilies? Of this one small bush. It's just hanging down. The bush is hanging down from the weight of these big chilies. It's only a very small bush, but he's just producing. Here's our bell siphon. Each bed has an Afnan style bell siphon. I've had great success with these Afnan siphons. Oh, this one's actually siphoning at the moment. I won't pull the bell out. Oh, maybe I will. Oh. Okay, so you can see it's quite a long bell. It's about 1/2 metre. These beds are deeper than I would like, but it's all that was available. So you'll notice that there's no breather pipe to break the siphon. I've found that with the Afnan siphons, it's actually unnecessary. I basically built these siphons, put them in, and they've worked since day one with no problems. Very, very, very occasionally, I might get a slight equilibrium flow happening, and I'll need to reset it. But that normally just means that my water's flowing too fast into it. So it's just a matter of adjusting, and that's fine. I've used this very thick HDPE pressure pipe for the shroud, as it was the only pipe that I found laying around that was the right diameter and the right strength to fill that role. I will also note that every single component of this system, with the exception of the grow beds and the sumps and the pump, everything else is recycled, salvaged, scavenged from around the place, including the pipe work. You'll notice that I've got different coloured pipes, which are also different thicknesses going into each other. All the fittings are recycled, all the timber, all this eucalyptus for the garden beds, and for the cover here is recycled offcuts from a big construction project that happened here. The pipe I just find laying in the jungle. Ideally, I've got here, there's these old HDPE 20-litre drums that I've cut the top off and filled with cement, and I've got teak, recycled teak hardwood, untreated, here supporting the grow bed image. Now, it's not ideal, I know. Eventually the timber will rot and need to be replaced. It is untreated once again, so there's no contamination for the fish. But with the short time I had and the requirements of this design, i.e. having the fish hidden and